Thanks, folks. Last Sunday of the month. We are halfway through summer, and you're watching Inside Tennessee. Ramsey, go.
Yeah. So, Chloe, you mentioned that your organization is not a policy-oriented one, that you don't take specific policy positions. I'm curious if you see that evolving or changing in the future, given that there are certain policies that cause the structure of government and the way we currently elect people to be impossible for anybody who is not a hyper-partisan individual to get elected. Gerrymandering is a major problem. I would argue that term limits are a thing that could benefit us. I've heard you talk about the good that comes from competitive races. Would your organization ever support those, given that there are a lot of places where someone like myself, because they have a D next to their name, why even bother?
Never say never, but our entire focus at this organization immediately is not rooted in policy. We really are focused on saying and explaining to Tennesseans and everyone who's curious that there is extremism in policy, which we're not concerned with, but there is an extremist approach to governing that creates a very all or nothing sensibility that needs to be addressed. And that's really where our primary focus is right now. I can't ever say what will or will not happen in the future. If you asked me 2 years ago if I'd be sitting here, I would never have been able to imagine it. But for us right now, our primary focus is really in that nonpartisan arena and in focusing on better governance and governing.
Well, how do you do that without electing the right candidates? I mean, clearly, we have a very small amount of our electorate that comes out and votes in primaries. We have quite a few candidates this year, incumbents, that are conservatives, and we have moderates that are being challenged by even more right conservatives. So are you recruiting candidates? Are you donating to candidates that are more moderate to challenge some of these people that you think should not be governing?
Well, the entity that we're working through this summer is our Super PAC, which is an independent expenditure only, so we won't be giving directly to any campaign or candidates.
But your Super PAC will.
Our Super PAC will be engaging in independent expenditures to support certain candidates. So a great example of the type of candidate that we will look at supporting would be someone like Senator Farrell Hale, a conservative from Middle Tennessee, facing a challenger who takes a far different approach to governance and governing than Senator Hale. We're also looking at Representative Sam McKenzie here in Knoxville, a tremendous, leader of the Black Caucus in the House, very committed to thoughtful leadership, and someone that we would love to support through our Super PAC. And so I think what also makes us very disruptive and unusual for the political environment right now is that we're looking at supporting candidates from both parties, incumbents and challengers, who really have a spirit of leadership that is thoughtful and reasonable, and it embraces the complexity of the world we live in instead of just the fringes.
Who makes those decisions? I'm curious. Will it be you or staff or your board? How are you going to make those decisions about how the money gets doled out?
Sure. Well, in the Super PAC, we have a treasurer, we have a responsible individual, and then we've retained a really brilliant political director, Stephen Sebastian, who is managing our Super PAC. I work primarily as the CEO to oversee the sum total of everything and really focus on the C4. We're a small team, so these decisions are certainly made with everyone's input. We also have a tremendous board of directors, bipartisan from across the state, that we hope to also take their input in these considerations. But I'd say it's absolutely a team effort to make these choices in concert with being led by, on the Super PAC side, our political director.
One criticism that I did want to bring up, I have heard some criticism that the board is not bipartisan enough, if you will. There are Democrats on the board?
Oh, absolutely. Mike McWhorter, former Democratic nominee for governor of the state of Tennessee, Elliott Moore from Northeast Tennessee, prominent Democrat. We have some independents on the board, we have some Republicans on the board, and I think the criticism that it's not bipartisan enough is, again, quite an illustration of why we need to exist.
You identify as Democrat, right?
I identify as, at this point, an independent. I was raised, here in East Tennessee and in South Florida, so my political leanings are just really all over the place. I voted for Democrats and Republicans. I really like to evaluate the person and the policy, and I don't tend to vote on party lines.
Tell us how we can learn more about the projects and the folks that are at home. Where would you direct them to go?
Our website is a great resource, bestoftn.us. Not only can you learn more about us, but really critically, we have a great frequently asked questions section where we hope to give folks information about where to register to vote, how to vote, what is early voting, who can vote in the primary, which ballot to pull. Some really basic information that I think will help folks feel more empowered as they go to the ballot box this August.
I think they can also catch a glimpse of that commercial which you mentioned in the first block.
I hope that folks did get a chance to catch a glimpse of this commercial tonight during the presidential debate. And more importantly, I hope that everyone tunes in to watch the presidential debate and that we evaluate our candidates, we scrutinize their positions, and then we do the most important thing we can as Americans and Tennesseans, and we vote.
Chloe Akers, we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us this morning. We'll be watching how progress goes. It's Inside Tennessee. We're going to change subjects a little bit when we come back, so please don't stray far.